So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream with live peoples. We're all having a natter in chat. I'm going to have a play with this Star Trek colouring competition, but it's due in the 10th of December, so that's in a few days. It's number 190, November, December 2017, but it is a bit shiny, the paper, so I've photocopied it. Excuse me. So I played with Derwent watercolour pencils and Prisma pencil watercolours, but I've done them as a dry pencil. Then I've sharpened my pencil, kept the shavings, the pigment from the end, and made it into a watercolour. So I thought I'd have a bit of a play. Oops, I've just broken the tip of my paintbrush. I've just sharpened my graphitint to a sharp point. I've just broken it, but never mind. Never mind. So I've saved the shavings and made a watercolour. So all these gorgeous Derwent graphitint colours can be made into a watercolour. So can any other Derwent products, because if they're water based, if they have the little brush on, means they're water based. So I thought I'd have a bit of a play as a dry pencil. See how we get on as a dry pencil. So I've got my Comb automatic long point sharpener, and this makes really long points, but I am keeping the shavings because I'm making them into a watercolour, because I cannot bear to throw wonderful colour away. And I'm also using my Derwent electric eraser for my highlights. So I thought I'd just have a quick play with the hair, just to see, I can compare things and see how I want to do this competition. But I think I like the graphitint. They're a bit more unusual, but they are muted and there's only 24 colours. But I do like the way that they kind of work. And I like the dark oopsie. You can use them as oops, avalanche. This is what they look like when you use them as just a pencil. So I do like the muted colours, but there's nothing particularly bright about them. They're kind of really muted. It's not finished. I've just managed to get a little bit of a shadow here, but I need to build up the others and then let the snow pop out a bit more. So they can use them as a pencil, you can use them as a watercolour pencil, and you can use them as a watercolour. So they're very versatile, these Derwent pencils. So I'll just put those to one side, and I'll put the pencils there. And I normally have a little bit of paper to practice, so we'll just scratch on the back of one of these. To test the colour before we put it on our page. So you always need to be comfortable. Oh, thank you, Judy. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show with live people. It's recorded for YouTube, for Ustream.tv, and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. So I'm going to just very carefully I'll just do a little bit and you can see. So what I want to try and do is, if I kind of very soft layer, and these are very waxy, they're quite nice. Now you can't press hard for two reasons. One is I don't want to press hard, I want to put a very soft thin layer, and I don't want any pencil lines. But the other one is you're gonna break that really fine pencil point, sorry. So if you could just very carefully, and we can go lighter and then go darker. And the reason I want to go darker is I want to get rid of that pencil line. Now my thumb might get in the way, so I'll zoom in a second. So I'm building up the colour on the end of that outline, because I want rid of that outline, and then softening it as we go, so it doesn't look like a hot mess. And then going back in there again. That's why I got the sharp point, but I've just knocked the pencil point. And then at this side I want to do the same thing. I want to really get rid of that line and blend it back. Same with this one. And then you can blend that back, but I'd like to keep that very light highlight. You might have to practice from going from very dark to very light. And again, we then need to just really get rid of that highlight. Because we don't want a black line. Now sometimes it's not always possible, but and if you didn't want to get rid of the line because you did have a highlight at this side of it, you go to the other side of the line. So I did that with the robin's breast, the little red breast. It had a highlight on it, so I used the outside rather than the inside to get rid of that line. So we've got a little bit going on here. Oh, hi Piccolo, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else I've missed? So I'll zoom in, and as I say, I probably won't do anything with this because not really played too much with this. If I tilt that up very carefully and across, we should be able to see this very gentle oops, I think I've got the light okay. So we want one little soft covering, and then you can build that back. But I did want rid of that little highlight there. So, I mean, normally you would hold it like this, but of course if I do that, the thumb's in the way. You can tell you can get a nice effect. Now you might want to go, when you finish you might think, well actually I don't really like that highlight there, that wouldn't be there. So you can darken it, but one thing you can do with a highlight and eraser with one problem, but the idea is just to get a general idea of what you're doing. Then you go back in, make things darker and lighter, but just get some kind of order. again, the skin side cannot have the dark, really, not as black. So I'm taking it the hair side, and then we just need a little soft blend, so it's not going from harsh black, unless of course it's a highlight, then it would. Excuse me. Okay. And there would be a little bit more shadow, but again we can bring that up later, we don't have to do that now, we're just getting a general idea and just getting rid of that colour. And these feel a little bit waxier than the watercolour pencils. But again, I've had these quite a while, so. So building up that section here, we may struggle further round, but we'll have a look. Might work quite well being kind of grungy. And we have a line there, so what we need to do is just blend that out so it's gone from very dark. But again, we can go back in there and decide how much of a highlight we want. So I don't have a point on this at the moment, so I'm quite happy about that, because we want very soft, we don't want lines really. So we're going to have this as a highlight, I think. Then we can either go that darker, so we get rid of the line at this side, or we make it lighter and it becomes a shadow. So I think this one probably on the outside should really be a highlight. And the other thing you could do is completely leave the hair and do it last, and do all outside to be dark. So we've just got a little bit of colour in there. Do I need to sharpen that up a bit? So we've got some green, oops, we've got some grass here. Just have to stick a bit of blue tack on there because she wants to move everywhere. So I'm going to get this little bit here. Now he's got a shirt on and I don't know what colour shirt, so again, Trekkies, apologise, you have to just bear with me, because I'll just be guessing a lot of this. So I need a dark here. We've got some green. That's quite nice for a tree green. This is a grass green. So there's meadow and ivy, and again mine are a bit blunt. Oopsie. Sorry, the camera keeps moving and my desk is a bit. So I'm going to scratch that bit of colour here And sometimes you can do that just a bit rougher. You don't have to be too precise at this moment. You just have to have a bit of an idea about the colour. And I think I'm going to do, there's a slate colour. The grey-green probably would go here. And again, I think I'm just going to take that round a bit, and then kind of the second one, you've got your depth. And I know probably this is the wrong colour, but I'm just going to do this. Just practicing shades and tones, and we can blend that one in with that one now, so it goes naturally from one to the other, which is always nice. Been a bit careful there because we do want a bit of a highlight, and then I think that just goes down to there. So we can build that up to being quite dark, so that's going to get that build it that way. Or on the other side we've got a grass green, and I think one's called meadow. So we'll have a quick look at the other side. So I'm going to just do this bit here because I'm going to do it the other way. So we're going to have the grass green, and this is going to be as pale as we're going to get, but we can use the eraser to make a highlight if we need to. Oops. So I'm going to follow the hairline right down to there. And then the second layer is that bit darker, and then blend it out because we want to go from very dark, very pale to very dark very quickly. So I quite like that, but then excuse me, we're going to use Midnight Black, and we're just going to stroke very gently into there and make that line disappear. So this is where a point sometimes comes in, because we don't want to go too far out, so we want this, and again you can't press down because you will break that really sharp point. But then what we can do is take this green over the top, so it's now changing that black to a green black, and then we can kind of blend that out a bit. But again here it needs to go dark as well. because we need rid of this line. So it's not always easy to get rid of every single line, but with a little bit of luck we might be able to get rid of some. And then with our eraser we can either go like this to make a bit of a highlight, or if you just want a certain area we can make it light, and then we need to just soften that a little bit. So we've gone from black to dark green. So it's made it quite a dark picture, but I quite like that. But what it means is now we can leave that top complete highlight. It's all white, so it's the opposite to here. Here we've put the dark on the outside. This way we've got that. So now we can go into this bit and build up. So there's always two ways to approach the line, either on the inside or the outside. Now the inside would be difficult because we couldn't get from dark black to white in the space of a couple of millimeters. So we went and took the green really dark. And then we can take that right across, soft, until we want to get to the next dark. And here is the next dark. So again, make that line wider. And you possibly could need a point for this. And then smooth it out so it isn't a stark light line. Because obviously the skin tone is not going to want to go from dark to light. Now I think you won't always be able to do it, but just a little bit of this, and we've got rid of that. We would do that one, and then blend that out a bit. Now this is probably the wrong colour to do it, but at least you can see you can get lots of tones there. You can take it from black to almost pale, not quite white. Oh, hi Suzanne, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else popping in? If I missed. So I'm playing with the graphitint, and I've got Midnight Black number 20, and I'm practicing for a colour competition in the Star Trek November-December colour book. But Star Trek magazine, but it was on shiny paper, so I photocopied it, so it's not quite as shiny now. And I'm having a practice with my Derwent pencils. And again, we can keep that as the highlight because we can work backwards and forwards. So we can take that now and we can draw out that highlight and then soften it from both edges so it's not too stark. And then again we need to build that black line and then blend it out. And then you can knock that highlight down, or you can go back with your eraser and get it back later if you want to. So that's given us the highlight on the hair. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. It's a very strange thing to work, is this. It's graphitints. It's very strange. So if we go, and it's only a practice because, as I said, I really don't think that I will be handing anything in. But I wanted to have a practice. So she's got bright red lips, but we can't get bright red lips because we've got an autumn brown or we've got port, but we could put port maybe on her lips. So she's got dark lips, just a hint of that number one port, and she possibly could have blue eyes. Skin tone's going to be difficult. There's a chestnut there, there's a storm, and we've got some warm greys, so I think everybody might look a little bit peaky but never mind. So we'll just have a look at storm, and there is a warmish grey. These are gorgeous colours. I don't think she's sage, but it's the only pale colour. No, oh, juniper's purple. And I've lost my, I normally have my little book of watercolours so I can scratch colour and check. So let's have a look for this. This one is going to be a nice dark shadow storm, and we've got a chestnut. They're not ideal for skin tones. Let's just have a bit of a, well, that one's definitely out. Oops, this is what you have to do, is just practice and have a look. These are all kind of dark. They're kind of dark, so I wondered if I could have this colour and then warm it up with this colour. think this is going to be the best colour, but it's a little bit. I can't seem to get a pale one for that. So it could be Storm. They're just going to have to look quite grungy. They're going to look... Yes, I'm on the graphitints. These are Derwent watercolour graphitints. And if you use them just as a pencil, they're kind of very grungy. You can use them. There's just 24 in a set. Now this isn't finished. The Little Robin's probably the nearest one, because I worked on here a bit to create some darks and some shadows here, so that made the robin pop up and the little house look behind. But I've also used them in Joanna's Christmas book, Very Pale, so they've got lots of different ways to use them. And I don't think... Oopsie. I think there is a video on this one. So this is scratching a bit of colour, and you can see that they're very grungy. They're not bright. So you scratch the tiniest bit of colour, and then you activate it with a brush, or you can use it very strong as a pencil and build up shade and tone. And I'm just looking here. That one is the best flesh tone I have, and that's Port, and that one's Autumn Brown. So they're all going to look as if they've been tangoed. But I don't seem to have a sharp edge on here, so that's quite nice, because it means I can go very light. Go very light. Now, we may not get away with it because it's very... I suppose I could do it wet and dry. Wet and dry would look quite good. Just to see the colour. And it's just to get rid of that stark white paper. And then what we could have here is just a little bit of contrast on her face. But I might do that with a different colour, because I don't really want any more red on here. So we may get away with it, we may not. I think I might put a little bit of, use the storm colour shadow. It may look terrible, but we might just get away with it. I don't want her to make it look like she's got a moustache. But she does want a bit of a cheekbone. I haven't done a face for a long time. And we can maybe just put a little bit of shadow on there. The blue is, there's a dark indigo, there's a steel blue, and there's an ocean blue. Ocean blue is a bit of a greeny grey blue, but that might do, so number 6 can go back. Just going to put a bit of blue there. And she's got blue eyes. So we've got these two colours. Oopsie, so I'll pan out, you can see the little bit when it looks slightly better. So it's going to be a very dark picture. Oh, sorry, I keep knocking. It's very dark, but again, we can. No, I don't think we can get rid of that line on her face. I don't think we can. So it's just a very soft. And then we can go, even though we've got a bit of green on here, we can get rid of that. Clean it off a bit. Otherwise, so she can have a highlight on there, highlight on the nose. So if we take most of it off, it'll just look like a stain, which would probably look slightly better. I certainly don't want it to look like she needs. That's better. So it's just a bit of colour. And if we take the black again, I'll leave this to out. Take the midnight black again and work back to the hairline, and that might frame the face a little bit. We need to just and it was a very strange colour to use on her face, but when you put it in conjunction with all the other dark grungy colours, it might work quite well. So we've got a highlight here. As I say, you might want to have a bit of a sharper point. Because we want that top highlight to pop. And it'll only do that if there is a darker next to it. Or I'll rephrase that, it will be better and brighter. And we get rid of some of the lines along the way. And I think we were going to use the sage for the shrubs. This particular area here. And again, I want rid of that line, so I need to go darker. With the dark indigo, oh sorry, midnight black number 20, and again follow that line. And I don't think you need to do too much. I think that might be just enough to then soften it out a bit. So sometimes you've just got to have a practice. So we've got darker hair than at that side, and the highlights on the inside, the highlights on the outside. And you can tone that down if you don't want it that bright. You could tone that down. Oops, wrong colour. You could turn that down. Yes, just bear with me 2 seconds. Unfortunately, it's the phone. So that's the end of practice with the Derwent graphitints. Thanks for watching.